Today we're going to focus on what I call my high hip vinyasa, and it's a nice alternative to the traditional chaturanga upward facing dog, downward facing dog for people whose shoulders tend to be tight or whose wrists are cranky, whose hips are tight and deep forward folds are challenging. This is a really nice alternative for them, and I'll show you a few different ways to do it. If you are in that category of people who find that the floor is just too low to reach when your arms are stretched out in front of you, then grab a chair and have it nearby your mat. I've got that stool nearby that I'll use as a prop. You can have your mat aligned with the long edge of a sofa or your bed or a kitchen countertop. Any of those things work to aid us to raise the floor to a reachable position. So let's get started. Come to a comfortable seat on your mat. So legs crossed and hips supported. I've got my trusty blanket here to raise the platform a little bit for my seat. And just settle into a few breaths. This is going to be a slightly shorter practice today. We are moving some of our classes to the online platform of Zoom, and so that's where you can find full-length classes with your favorite sun and moon teachers. And so our YouTube live streams are going to be a little shorter, a little more focused, little bites of yoga practice that you can sample anytime. So taking in a few breaths, settling into the pace of the inhales and the exhales, and the feeling of the body responding to your breath. Leslie Kaminoff, one of our most respected teachers, defines breathing as simply shape change in the body. So feel what is changing shape as you breathe in and out. And it's a really nice way of tuning in, aligning your awareness to the present moment in which breath is always there. Even if the breath isn't deep, just notice its presence. And that's all that's required here. Noticing the presence of the breath. Close your eyes. A few more beats of inhales and exhales. And then gently drop your chin down toward your chest as you raise up your heart center toward the chin, allowing the torso to be elongated and lifted and free. And then on your next inhale, reach your arms up overhead, nice long breath. And on the exhale, float the arms down. Do that 2 more times. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, float down. And once more. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, float down. And then bring your hands somewhere comfortable on your lap, your thighs or your kneecaps or your shins or ankles, anywhere that feels right. And on your next exhale, billow out the back of your body as you scoop the pelvis underneath you. Let the breath fully release. And then on the next inhale, flip the curve of your spine so the chest and the mid-spine come forward. Shoulders go back, the pelvis flips back behind you. Look up slightly. And then go back and forth a few times, exhaling to the rounded spine behind you. And then inhaling to the arched spine that brings the heart and the belly forward. A few more times. Exhale, one more time, rounding the mid-spine back behind you, and then lifting the heart and belly up in front of you. Long, luscious breath in, and then exhale and settle into a neutral position. So the spine is simply elongated. Axial extension from the base to the crown, reaching up and rooting down. And then inhale, reach both arms up again, and on the exhale, tip over to one side and reach across the side body, lengthen through the fingertips. And then bring the arm up again and over to the other side, and reach. And then bring the arm up again, reach over to the first side, lengthen through the fingertips and down through the root of the sitting bone on that side that's opening up for the stretch. Inhale, reach back over to the second side. Inhale, reach up, back over to the first side, and this time take the raised arm and drape it down in front of you, reach it across to the side next to, both hands next to each other. Keep facing to the side and walk your hands back and upright your torso. So now you're sitting in a twist. Now take the arm that's behind you right now. Lift that arm up, bring it over and down in front, and then face center. And then both arms up again. Inhale, reach, and over to the other side. Take the lifted arm, drape it down in front of you, both hands next to each other. Pause, keep facing to this side, walk your hands back and sit upright to twist. Take the arm that's behind you. Inhale, reach it up and bring it down and forward. And pause here. And now make your way into table pose. So whatever support you have, maybe under your hips, you can take and place under your knees. And from table pose, make a hammock shape with your spine and deep breath in. So the mid-spine is dropping, the sitting bones are lifting, shoulder blades are climbing up onto the upper back. And then on the exhale, make a rainbow shape with your spine. So the mid-spine is lifting. You can drop your head and tuck your pelvis under. And then a few more times like that. Inhale, lift the heart into the hammock shape, and exhale, round into the rainbow. One more time like that. Inhale, into hammock. Exhale, into a rainbow. And then pause when the spine is neutral. Tuck your toes, lift your knees, and stretch your hips back into downward facing dog. And you can pedal out your heels and lengthen your spine and sway your hips from left to right. And then bring your knees back down. Take one foot forward in front of your hands, in between your hands, and then glide your hips forward and root down into the sole of your front foot and the top of your back foot. Alternatively, you can tuck the toes on the back foot and root into the pads of the toes. Now, heading down into the legs, strongly rooted. Inhale, reach up, arms lifting, and then bring your palms together. Keep the heart up, keep the torso tall, turn toward the side of your front leg, and then drop an elbow or a forearm down, maybe an upper arm onto your thigh. And stay here for breath. And if you want to power it up a little bit, you can tuck the back toes and lift the back knee to straighten the leg. You can keep the knee down. and breathe. And then release and bring your hands down and take this front foot and step it back and switch sides. So however you do these shapes in your body, the question is never what the shape is. The question is, how does it feel? So heavy down into the front foot, the sole of the foot rooted deeply into the ground, and the top of the back foot or the toes pressing down strongly to stabilize as you inhale and reach up. Lifting the heart, lift your gaze, reach up through the fingertips. And then bring your palms together and we'll twist to the other side. So turn your chest, turn the ribs, and drop some part of your arm down onto your thigh. And find the awareness that tailors to the breath and the breath that tailors to the body. And then release. So hands down to the floor. Step your foot back into table pose. And this time, take your knees apart as wide as your mat. And then take your ankles and your feet apart as wide as your mat. Tuck your toes. And here we're going to come into downward facing dog, but with the feet as wide as the mat. Nice, wide, generous stride. And from here, walk your hands over to one side of the mat and bend that same side knee. Let your belly reach back towards your thigh, your heart dropping down toward the bent knee. And see how that feels. And then you might explore the feeling of straightening that leg, and that will be a different feeling. So there is no prescribed feeling here. There is just awareness of what's real for you in any given moment. And you can bend and straighten, or you can keep it in one shape or another. Exhale. Inhale, and then walk your hands over to the other side and bend the other knee. So bending the knee, you'll feel something, maybe something along the side of the torso, maybe something in the groin, and then consider straightening the knee and play with that feeling. Choose the one that allows you to attune to your experience without frustration, without pain, without concern. Just awareness. And then walk the hands back to center. And this time, instead of bringing the knees down or the feet forward, bend both knees. Walk your hands backwards towards your feet. Get your elbows on your thighs. Pause here for a moment in a squat. And then root heavily and strongly into your legs. And then stand up tall. And now stand with your feet wide on your mat. I'm going to remove my blanket here. Feet nice and wide. Hands together at your heart. And on an inhale, reach your arms up. And on an exhale, bring your heels a little closer to each other so the toes turn out. And sink the hips down as you take your elbows out and bend into cactus shape with your arms, and here we are in goddess pose. Now notice, is the torso upright or are you leaning forward a little bit? And either way, the goddesses will smile down on you. They don't care what you look like. They want you to feel free in your breath and present in your experience. And straighten the legs, reach the arms up. And exhale, sink down. And then inhale, reach up. And here, on the exhale, drop the arms down and fold forward, hinging at the hips. Take your heels apart so your feet become parallel to each other. Now, here's where you make a choice about how far the floor is from your reach. And if it feels really precariously far, then grab something to help raise the floor. And I'm going to put this stool here. So here we are with the hips between the heels. Nice and neutral, strong in the legs. Press the outer edges of your feet down so you can feel a little perkiness in your arches, lifting up the inner legs all the way into the groins. And walk your hands out as far forward as you can without taking the hips forward, and drop the chest down. So the upper body is as if it is doing downward facing dog, except the feet are much wider. And here comes the high hip vinyasa. So the hips stay high. Shift them forward without lifting your heels until your wrists are relatively over you, till your shoulders are relatively over your wrists. And then on an exhale, make that semblance of a rainbow. And on an inhale, a slight hint of a hammock. And now from the hammock, reach back into the wide-footed dog. And then again, inhale, shift forward, wrists underneath the shoulders. Now exhale, round into the hint of a rainbow. Inhale, arch like it's a hammock. And then exhale, stretch back. So I'm going to put the stool away and do it one time with the hands on the floor. Shifting forward. Shoulders over the wrists. Exhale, round the spine like a rainbow. Inhale, arch like a hammock. And exhale, shift back. And now here, walk your hands back. Bend your knees. Elbows on the thighs to help stabilize as you rise up. Root strongly into the legs. Inhale, reach up. And then bring the heels together, a little closer together. Exhale, sink into the goddess. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, sink. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, sink down. And then release your arms, fold forward. Bring your heels apart so your feet are parallel. And then walk your hands out in front of you. Use the floor or anything that's higher and more reachable than the floor. Drop the hips, lift and slide the hips back as you drop the heart, the wide-footed dog. Inhale, shift forward to the high-hipped plank. Exhale, round like a rainbow. Inhale, arch like a hammock, and then stretch back. And we'll do that 2 more times. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch. Exhale, shift back. 1 more time. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch. Exhale, stretch back. And then walk the hands back and bend the knees, elbows on the thighs. Stand strongly into your feet and rise up tall. And now, inhale, reach up. Just hold this lifted reach for a moment and feel all of the space that is present between your fingertips, your tail, and the soles of your feet. And breathe into that space as if it is a glorious experience, as if every moment of your life led up to this moment, which it absolutely did. And then just soften the arms and release them down and fold gently forward and find a way to get your feet together so you can heel toe in, or you can hop the feet together, and then come down onto your back. All the way down, lying with your knees bent and your feet on the floor. Make sure you have some room behind you. Take your upper arms and dig them into the floor. With your fingertips pointing to the ceiling. And on an inhale, pressing the upper arms down, raise your hips up into a bridge pose. And on an exhale, float them back down. This time, root down really strongly into your legs, straighten your arms, and optionally on an inhale, you can raise your arms reaching back behind you as you lift the hips to bridge. And exhale, bring them back down. Notice the action of the legs as you rise and fall. Alternate, bend the elbows, press the upper arms down, lift up. You might feel a little dragging action of your heels in toward your pelvis as you rise to give the legs the permission to do the work of keeping you steady. And then release, and on an exhale, reach up and back, lifting the hips. All of these arm positions are optional. Do the one that feels great for you, make up your own, or alternate here. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, floating down. Inhale, rising. Exhale, falling. And then pause when you land next time. Take a moment to reassess the feeling of your body in this new shape, in this new relationship to the floor. Separate your feet as wide as your mat. Rock the knees a few times from side to side. And then draw the knees in toward your chest. Give them a nice tight squeeze. And drop both knees over to one side and turn your head the opposite way. And breathe. Feel the long lateral torso from shoulder to hip to outer thigh to knee. And the twist in the spine from the base all the way up to the neck. And then scoop up your legs, bring them to center, hug them in tight, and drop them to the other side. And breathe. And feel. And just be here where you are. Welcome the full inhale and let go of the full exhale. And then scoop up the legs, bring them to center. Circle your knees a few times in each direction. Do you feel the circuit around the lower back, around the sacrum, the back of the hips? And then gently step your feet down to the floor and stretch your legs out for Shavasana. And if you'd like to put something under your knees, that can be nice for your lower back. If you'd like to bend the knees, take the feet wide and rest them against each other, that can be nice for the lower back. If you'd like to take your hands to your belly, that can be very nice for the nervous system to calm down, to remember that you're safe in this moment. And tune into the feel simply of the weight of your body on the ground and the freedom of your breath inside. Stay here for just a few breaths. And listen to the sound of the bowl ringing just 3 times. And then bring your awareness to a deepening breath. And a wakening body. Begin to move yourself gently so you roll to one side. And as you roll to one side, press your hands into the floor. And bring yourself up to sit. And then find a comfortable seat again. Bring your palms together in front of your heart. Take a nice slow breath and exhale. Reestablish your sense of presence here in this new moment and understand there will be new moments continuously to follow, new opportunities to find your sense of easy presence, even in the midst of everything that isn't easy. Thank you so much for joining today. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings find health and ease. May all beings be at peace.